So I read this piece that you wrote on LinkedIn, and I could relate to a lot of it because you said you've been getting a lot of questions over the last couple of weeks, people from companies asking you, what can I do to address this? And I think a key question is, how much of this is companies wanting to feel better, wanting the heat off of them? How much of it is them being dedicated to making sustained cultural changes in their organizations? What are you hearing from the people you're talking to?
So it's a great question. I think let's start with objectives. My goal with the letter was very simple. I believe in businesses in America solving business problems, and I really want to make the Black inequality problem a business problem. So I got a bunch of calls from executives. You know, when you look at what happened with George Floyd, Breonna Taylor, Ahmaud Arbery, and I think all the lives taken in this country, and a lot of them are friends and business partners, and they patently have the same question, right? What can I do? But when you start to pull on the yarn, it's not just what can I do. I could have given them a cute tweet or a cause to donate to, but that felt like a Band-Aid. But as you start pulling on the yarn, there was a lot of genuine curiosity, but also a lot of fear. And the more I realized that this fear was there, the more I realized that other executives wanted the same answers, and that's when I wrote the letter. And the whole goal of the letter was to obviously grab some attention, but start the process of converting this Black inequality problem into a business problem.
But Omar, does corporate America, if they're going to embark on this, and we'll see if companies do, if they find the justification, do they need a new philosophy around diversity? Because it seems to me that we've kind of moved out of the era of affirmative action, where the argument was, okay, for this period of time, if we've got equal candidates, you know, we're going to give the person of color the job or the shot, and then after about 30 years, that'll fix it, right? It's about 30 years later, it hasn't fixed it. Does there need to be a new argument or justification, and are companies thinking deeply enough, if so, about what that justification is?
Yeah, hence my point. I think we've been deeply engaged in, like, what's the playbook, right? Because to your point, I think there have been a lot of D&I programs, there have been a lot of initiatives to fix the problem that just haven't worked. We've now pivoted to exactly what our list of sort of actions we're recommending to executives. One is honest measurement and publishing the results. So taking really honest inventory of your company right now. How many Black employees do you have on your board and your executive team? All key decision-making verticals. But also, you know, think about the key functions outside of marketing and HR, right? And a lot of people can feel when I say this, but we're not just marketing and HR people. What about finance, operations, engineering? Number two, looking at what we call soft data. So not just the hard data of the numbers, but what are Black employees saying? How are they feeling? What's the condition of your culture with Black employees? And creating what we call safe spaces where you can actually get real information back and real feedback on the state of what's happening with your Black employees. And the last thing is taking deliberate action now. And deliberate action means, you know, there's action you can take inside the company, outside of the company, both through how you invest your dollars, but also in how you actually start to focus on elevating those people in your companies right now.
Hey, Omar, it's Deirdre Boza. You mentioned diversity and inclusion initiatives, and Big Tech has been putting out a diversity report for some 6 years, and my colleague, Kate Rooney, crunched the numbers and saw that there has been very little change, just low single-digit increases in terms of Black leadership roles and even employees. So how do you get there? You mentioned something in your letter talking about looking at consequences, not just metrics. How do companies do that?
Yeah, look, I think you look at some of the big companies, you were just talking about Apple, you think of anyone in Silicon Valley. It's, you know, they're some of the best companies of engineering, operations, and sort of design. But when you step back and you look at engineering and tech as an industry, it's 67% white, 21% Asian, 6% Hispanic. When you look at jobs in science and engineering, it's only 5% Black. It's a huge, to me, math problem. But when you think about who's amazing at solving math problems, engineers are. And I believe as these companies step back, if they actually apply those operational and engineering muscles towards fixing this issue, again, making it a business issue, I do believe it changes. But to date, the numbers state what they state because I don't think it's been a business issue. It's been a nice to have, not a have to have. And I think as this becomes a have to have, and it won't just be legislation that drives that, employees and consumers are asking for their brands to be more conscious of this issue. So I think with those voices coming inside those brands, I do think you start to see some change.